So hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on this. I don't know. Okay, I'm going to start again. I hate this part.
Are we recording?
I was, but I'm going to pause. Hello, everyone. This is Luci Dumas, and I'm excited that you guys are in this introductory class to my longer coaching program called the High Dollar Happy Client Sales System. And what our topic is today is what we do in the sales room, how we organize it in such a way that it's very easy to sort down to the best and for people to then walk away with 3 to 7 wall portraits because they've so fallen in love with them, and we've given them all the time and support they need to make really great decisions. Now, of course, I couldn't just jump into any of your studios and sit down with a client and sell them a ton of wall art if all the steps hadn't happened up until that point. But you could do everything else right, and if the sales room process isn't effective and efficient, then you're not going to maximize. There are people making good sales that I know can make great sales with just a few tweaks. So that's what this is about today. Just to let you know, this is being recorded and other people will see it. So if you're camera shy, I don't take it personally if you want to turn the camera off. If you're hiding from the FBI or something. Okay.
Or have full hair.
Yeah, if you're not having a good hair day, but the light is great on you and you have such cute and beautiful skin, Miss Kelly. All right, so I'm going to mute you all, and I'm going to start our PowerPoint. Does that sound good?
Yes.
Okay, I asked that and then I muted you, so I just got that one. Yes. All right, and I'm going to screen share. And I'm working on accepting the motto "perfectly imperfect." So yeah, that's we don't have to be so polished and perfect. And okay, I have to tell you before I get started, my sales room, my environment is not the perfect storefront with angels greeting you at the door and everything in place. It's a cute older home in a charming neighborhood. I tend to collect things. So I'm always scrambling when clients come over to get everything hidden. It's nice and clean. But I used to think that, how is it that I'm so successful when I don't have the absolutely ideal situation? And it's because, number one, my persona is I'm an artist. I'm every kid's Aunt Lucy. Kids are my specialty. And I wow them with friendliness and smiles so much that they're enjoying the experience, and some of the little things just don't matter. All right, so here is the screen share so I can start. Start the show. All righty, so how to sell 3 to 7 wall portraits each and every time by Luci Dumas. All right, so the first thing I want to do is share why I think it is the best choice in running a photography business, a portrait or wedding business. And so number one is to serve your clients. For me, beautiful finished portraits are the best gift that I can give my clients. Let's see, somebody is muted. Can everybody mute themselves? There, good. I know the value of what these portraits will mean to them over their lifetimes and beyond. Recently, one of my Facebook friends just posted photographs of his parents in 1950 getting married from their wedding album. And I think how sad that this generation of brides and grooms, I bet the highest percentage are not getting finished books and prints, and their kids and their grandkids are, who knows where those files are going to be, or if they print some, do they print it at a cheap lab that won't, it's not archival, so they won't necessarily keep the value. And as I bet if some of you have done the shoot and share method, I bet if you called your clients, 90% of them will have printed either very little or not at all, or maybe a few 8x10s. It takes time, takes effort. Everybody's busy. And also, I just accidentally ran into my next question. They cannot work with the top quality labs. Even if they do, like right now, my interview on my podcast, The Profitable Photographer, is with Dirk Witt. He is the lab manager, lab rep at Mid-South Color Lab. Mid-South is my partner in my printing. And when you have a relationship with a client, you can work with them to get the toning and the quality and the style that you love. There's a million ways to print a file, or in the olden days when dinosaurs roamed the earth, a million ways to print a negative. So that is something that your client would not know the potential. So as we grow as photographic artists and we have a nice relationship with a lab or a few labs, I suggest not trying them, or I suggest trying some, but sticking with one or two that provide great service and great quality. Okay, so the second one is the emotional impact. The way that I show the work is we sit down in my sales room and we watch a movie. I love a projector and a movie screen, and they laugh, they cry, they hug you, they say, "Oh my gosh, how am I going to ever choose?" Which I say, "Well, I'm here to help, so don't worry." So that there's nothing that compares with sitting at their computer. If you send them files and they're walking through the grocery store, looking at them the first time in their phone, or a badly calibrated computer, or kids screaming. That is not the experience that I want my clients to have when they first see the work. I want them to sit down, relax, have something nice to drink. The lights go down, I put some music, and they see these 6 feet wide as if they're finished art. The other thing, when people are selling files and they're not sitting with their clients, or even if you're selling prints, but you're posting them online in what I call post and pray, which is to post it on a gallery and hope and pray they buy something. When they get everything, you don't know what people would pay for. So your work doesn't get better because you're not getting any feedback. It's general, but it's not specific. And feedback is, not just, "Ooh, I like that," but here's some money for that. I need to have that forever. And also, you're selling people their own love back to them. So they're not, like, if you were showing them fine art that you did, it might be even harder, or it might be scarier, but you're showing them photographs of people that they love. So they're going to be complimentary. They're going to share what they love, and that really boosts confidence. I don't know about you guys, but I have a lot of clients that I coach who their main concern is they have a lack of confidence in their work. So for me, doing that in-person sale, I think I do it partly selfishly because I want their reactions. It's my favorite part. And my next favorite is to deliver. I mean, yes, I love photographing, but the sitting with them so they see the work. And then when they come in and pick up the beautiful large portraits and gasp and hug you. It's a really, really great experience. Just a little note, I cannot see any questions. Let me see if there's a more on here. Nope. That just moved me ahead. So, all right. So I kind of just led into this that your work improves, that I guess I have it on both. And also, I just love the experience myself of seeing my work after, let's say, a couple weeks have passed from a session and I've done the editing and then I'm getting together with the clients. I'm kind of detached from it in a way. And so it's as if I'm seeing them for the first time, and that is a fun experience. And then I also see little things like, the fingers and toes, and oh, I could have moved them so that that tree's not coming out of their head. So that's a strong reason. Now, am I loud enough? Can Kelly or Latoya, can you wave? Because I only see you two. You can hear me well? Good, good. All right. So preserving family legacies, that is also something I have a passion for. I'm a Cancer. I don't know if there's anything to that, but Cancers love family and they love history and they love legacy according to the charts. Because I'm a kid person, I imagine what these children will feel when they see these, or they show them to their children or their grandchildren. And so that's very important to me. I can only imagine what's going to happen when there's an avalanche of digital files and somebody's from their childhood to their 20s. And how would they ever, even if this is the best portrait session they have in their entire life, how would they ever find them amid the probably millions by the time they're 21 of digital photographs? So it helps set them apart from the rest. And of course, the one that I think most people think of first, which is there is a lot more income to be had when you're selling work. And this little side benefit, you get to stay in business. Does that sound like a good idea, to stay in business? Yeah. I believe that the highest majority of people who are doing the shoot and share or the post and pray either change within 2 years or go out of business, especially if you need a full-time living. If you want to earn $50,000, I'm not going to do the math right now, but it's staggering to think of how many $300 shoot and share sessions you'd have to do. So yeah, the bank account likes in-person sales. Okay, the other thing, it's the weirdest thing. The more people pay, the more they respect you, the better they treat you, the less they complain. It's just a thing. So when you're working, especially, so I don't know if you guys have heard this. I know in the in-person sales group and other Facebook groups that I've been on, there is a conversation about the gap where there's the low price and there are clients to be had there. And then there's a higher end where clients will be attracted. But there is a middle place where you're too cheap for the clients that will invest, and you're too expensive for the ones that are looking for quick and inexpensive. So when you're priced and you're giving full service in a way that attracts what to me is the ideal client, which is someone that will invest well, take this seriously, spend the time to plan the session, prepare the kids, get the clothes, show up on time, come and see the portraits, get on the phone with us, all of those good things. Let's see, that was a long sentence. I forgot what the first part of that was. But anyway, those are the people I want. And I don't know why people who pay less, they expect full quality. I think when they're not paying as much, they don't think we're very good. So they're more suspicious about whether we're doing things professionally. Okay. And more time, lots more time. Because if you're making more money for less time because you're projecting and each client is investing $2,000 to $3,000 to $5,000 to $10,000, then you get to have the kind of life that you dream about rather than being on a treadmill. So I think I'm probably preaching to the choir here. I'm guessing a lot of you are fans of in-person sales. I'm gonna there. Just want to click and see. I still cannot see a chat box. Nails. Well, I'll keep going on this part, and then we can, when I'm in another section, we can have some comments. Okay, here's the play. All right. One of my coaching clients was working 60 and 70 hours a week and never with her son and her husband. And she was the main breadwinner. And her income was just barely like maybe 25,000. He earned some, but overall she was responsible for it. And once we figured out a system for her to sell prints and albums, she was primarily a wedding photographer, but when she discovered what she thought was not true, which is that you can sell portraits of babies for, thousands, then her income doubled within 6 months, and she was working 30 hours a week. Her kid and her son constantly, when they'd say, "Oh, we're going to the park. We know you can't go." And now she says, "Sure, let's go." They're just stunned because they're so used to her not being available. And she has a new baby now, so she gets to be available for that little one and still be earning. And I'm sure, because it's been a couple of years, so I'm sure that her income has grown from there. So for me, it's about working smart. All right, so I'm going to go over actually how I do my sales. And so here's the tools that I think are important. I think having a good quality projector is hugely better. Is hugely better than using a television. In order to get a 6-foot tall image, a television would have to be like 15 feet wide, probably, because, and when they like a 60-inch TV, it's 60-inch diagonal. So on a 60-inch TV, you can maybe show a 20 by 24 tall. And over fireplaces, over couches, other nice big walls, 24 by 36 is probably the smallest that can really hold a wall on its own or over a fireplace. So with a good quality projector, you can show all of the sizes. And you need a screen or you need a white wall. I have a screen that comes down over a window, so it serves the two purposes. It helps black out or block out the light coming in the room, and it doesn't take up wall space until I need it. And then, ta-da, I've got this movie screen. And then this is some of my secret sauce, and it's because I learned this decades ago. It surprises me. I have been in business 37 years. So in order to show sizing and different shapes, I had to do that because ProSelect didn't work with actual slides. So back in the dark ages, we would have our work proofed onto slides and sell with projection from there. So I have white foam boards that I got at Aaron Brothers, which is mostly closed, but I think you can get them in Michael's and Hobby Lobby and other places like that. So I have white foam boards cut 40 by 40, 30 by 40, 30 by 30, all the way down to an 11 by 14. So that, and I'll show you when we're, well, actually, I can't show you, but I can tell you about it. But there are, during some of the steps with the, in the sales room, I get out of my chair. Let's say there's a beautiful image that I think would be a gorgeous wall portrait, and especially if it's one that's not the main thing they're here for. So if they did a family portrait, but I got something beautiful of the mother and the daughter standing together with the mom's arms around her and it's full length, I'll pull up the 24 by 36. Uh-oh. I did not know today would be gardening day, so we're just gonna have to plug through, and I hope is that super loud? Can you hear my gardener, you guys? No? Oh, good, good, good. All right, so I'd get out of my chair, I'd grab my 24 by 36 board because it's a little skinny, and I'd hold it, I hold it up about an inch away from the screen. So suddenly they see a finished piece of art. This is one of my secret sauces. And I hear a sound come out of them that's like, ooh, and I know I've got them. When I've taught this in person to photographers and I hold up the board, they all make that same sound. So it's a little trick that is, it's surprising how much it helps them really visualize and want it, and have it be hard for them to say no. I also have many large sample portraits in my studio. If I was going to go to someone's home, then I would bring 3. So 3 of my boards would have photographs on the backside. I'd have some art pieces printed with white on the back instead of black or other colors. So it's a multi-purpose. And you can get a big black fabric bag from Rice Studio or Tyndale. I use them to deliver the art. It's also nice to take to people's homes. So those are the things, those are the tools. One of the things that I do with my coaching clients is help them find a really great projector that has been leased for a fraction of the price. $300 for a $1,600 projector, things like that. So I know, there's a zillion projectors out there. I know the ones that are good for what we do, and I know how to find ones that are gently used. And so anyway, it's a good deal. All right. So I've got to figure out how I can go. So I'm going to go through my system. This one might be a good one for you to screen capture. So they come in, or I show up at their home and, greet each other. How are you? By this time, I'm usually on hugging basis with most people. Maybe a handshake with a dad, but most of the dads are going to be shaking my hand. And I don't serve food because I haven't figured out, like I'm sugar-free, so I don't think it's kind to give people cookies and things like that. There's so many allergies, keto, paleo, vegan, all that. So I haven't figured out what could fit everybody that would be an easy thing. Maybe popcorn, but then the vegans vegans like it, but the all protein people, they'd be no. Anyway, so I get them something to drink, sparkling water, ask if they want some coffee. I do not serve alcohol. If people even drink a glass of wine, I find that their brain gets a little mushy, and either they over order and then call back and ditch some things, or they get overwhelmed and they can't complete the order. So, and I learned that, if you haven't listened to my podcast called 12, I think it's 12 lessons I learned from selling skincare at home parties. But I learned quickly that the ones where the hostess served the wine and the snacks before we did the facials, and then they bought the skincare and the makeup, it just didn't work out well. So, okay. So I do a pretty slideshow, and then I do a series of games, and I tell them we're going to do a series of games. So all you need to do is sit back, enjoy, and say yes, no, and maybe. And if you keep doing that, when we get to the end, the decisions will be made. Now, something that some of you know that are my coaching clients that are listening right now, the core of my teaching in sales is to become the trusted advisor. This is something in the 6-month group program. Every step of the way, the telephone, at the session, at the consultation, I show you where you can continue to be in a leadership role that makes them really comfortable and confident that you are guiding them to make great decisions every step of the way. So at this point, inviting them to relax and just trust the process, they're already in a trusting space. So it makes it much easier. Now, of course, there's in between all of these steps, there's conversations, there'll be objections that need to be handled. So, it's just not like we sit down, we go through every one of these. But I also explain to them. So when they sit down, I say what I just said. We're going to have a series of sorting, or I'll call them games. And you just need to say yes, no, and maybe. And okay, so it's on the second part. Okay, if I remember what it is I was thinking would fit in here, I'll pick it up. All right. So first, we're going to have a slideshow. Pretend you're my client. First, we're going to have a slideshow, and I just want you to enjoy. I don't want you to judge yourself, because most people do not like themselves in pictures. Just look at the people you love. And don't think, oh, I like this one more than that. Don't do any comparison. Every one of these images that is in the slideshow is here because I want you to enjoy it. Then we're going to have an overview of a bigger gallery, and we're just going to go through and take out yes, no, or we're going to do yes, no, or maybes, and the no's will just disappear. Some people like to say, love it, like it, I can live without it. So if there's nicer words, some people teach, some of my colleagues teach, never have them say no, it's too negative. So it's a preference. I haven't found it's a problem, but some people like having it a little lighter once. Okay, sorry. I was doing a little side teaching, and I'm pretending you're my client at the same time. So we're going to have a slideshow. We're going to do yes, no, maybe game. We're not going back and forth at that point. So round 3, we're going to compare similar photographs. Then we're going to make groupings. I'm going to put the ones that you think and I think could be great wall art into one folder. If you'd only want it as a small, we'll put it in another folder. And if it might be in an album or some other collection, it goes in that folder. Then we'll see another slideshow. And the slideshow is going to be of the wall group. I'm going to run through it twice because I want you to see which ones are really going to grab your heart. Let's see. And then we'll just sort through the wall portraits, and we'll edit down till we get to the ones that you can't live without. Decide what else you'd like, and then we just figure out your form of payment, and I'll give you a great big hug, and then I'll get to work. How does that sound? So that's what I say to them, and that's a little overview for you. Okay, so my secret sauce is number one, the foam board, and number two, and this is something that I don't know when I thought this would be a good idea, but because I thought it up. Middle of the night, probably, hey, I should do another slideshow. When I run through, because there's usually 10 to 15 images that could be beautiful as art. And I try to mention to them, when we're putting it in that wall category, you're not ordering it. We're just saying this could be deserving of wall portraits. I try to keep them not focused on what they think they want. As sometimes people are like, well, let's just do the family ones first. And I coach them and say, no, I have this system, and if we just keep following along, these decisions get really easy. So before I do the second slideshow, and this is gold, we've been doing a lot of thinking. Okay, I want to backtrack a little. One of the biggest secrets to, so maybe I should put this as secret sauce number 3. So if you're taking notes, put a number 3, is always about keeping them in an emotional space. So when we have a phone consultation, I ask them great questions that get them emotionally connected to the subjects. At the consultation, we go deeper into what they love about their husband or their kid or their pet or themselves. Then when we're in the sales room, sorry, there's my gardener. When we're in the sales room, I'm at the beginning, there's a high emotional component to it. When we get into doing the step 1, step 2, step 3, all the way down, we're thinking, we're in our left brain, our analytical brain. So this moment with the wall portrait slideshow is a moment to get them back to the emotional state. And so before I start the show, I say this: I'm going to run through this twice, and we've been doing a lot of thinking. I have this memorized. I said it so many times, I realize I say the same thing almost exactly. We've been doing a lot of thinking. And I want us to get back to that emotional reaction, the love that you felt for these particular images. I'm going to run through it twice, and I want you to notice what gives you a strong emotional reaction. Or my friend and coaching client, Joel Treadwell, came up with the term tugs at your heart. Because we're going through it twice, you're going to have that same feeling the second time. So this is what you will feel every day for the rest of your life when you order these as wall portraits and display them in your home. That's what we're looking for, is that emotional connection. And so what I've done is I've placed them in their home with these portraits, and them imagining sitting on the couch and looking at it across a room, sending their kids off to college, and standing in front of the portrait when the little one was 4, and that, like, crying because they're going to miss their baby, things like that. So that is that's paid for a lot of bills, that one sentence there. And so I hope it works for you. So I don't know what my next slide is. It might be the end, because my plan is now to actually demonstrate. So let me see. Yes, it is. All right. So we're done with our PowerPoint. Let me get back to you guys. Stop screen sharing for a while. So I'm sorry I wasn't able to see your the chat box. So I'm going to take a quick look. All right, so Sophie, my projector is, I think it's 7 or 8 feet wide. I recommend as big as you can. And Bridget, I bring my projector. I even take it on an airplane, and I bring the biggest whiteboard I can fit in my car, or I do have a portable projector. It was my dad's, so it's old. It's one of those that has the little tripod legs. And I just bring it into their house and I set up, I get some chairs or other places that I can set the wall portraits that I have brought. I don't usually bring them framed. I usually bring, they may be on the real stretcher canvas, not the digital canvas, or they might even just be on regular luster paper, heat sealed onto styrene. When I travel, I will go to an art store and spend $20 and have the boards cut and get as big as I can fit in my rental car. And I'll get like 7. I did one in Vail, Colorado. And so I flew to Denver and I stopped at an Aaron Brothers, got the boards cut. And I think it was an $8,000 sale and they purchased 6 large portraits. So, if I'm gonna pack up and go to someone's home, I'm gonna make it as productive as I can. The bag. So Tyndale or Latonia, the bags. If you go to either Rice Studio Supplies or TYNDELL, they have these big black fabric delivery bags, and they can put your logo on it. All right. The first time they see my prices. So on the phone, and this is part of the teaching that that my coaching clients get and that we will and memorize. I should give tests on this. And also the group, those of you that are already signed up for the group, you'll get this. I love when I have these long sentences. Okay, I remember what the end of it was. So the only thing I say about prices on the phone is something I learned from Charles Lewis, who's been around forever, teaching wall portraits, taught me probably, gosh, I can't believe it, 30 years ago. When it comes to the price conversation, after I've had a really good conversation, is the sentence, most people will invest a minimum, not a high to low, but a minimum of X to X. So maybe 500 to 700. That might include something nice for your home and a few smaller ones for family or the office. Does that fit within your budget? So if they say yes, then I say, so the next step is to get together for consultation. At the consultation, I have a packet of information, and it does include pricing. And because we're in my sales room and they're seeing the wall portraits, I'll also gesture to something and say that size but depending on the finish, ranges from 1 to 2 million. I am being facetious, but it would be nice. Maybe 1 million pesos. That, and this size is X. So I just sort of explained 2 sizes. Does that help? Okay. So I'm going to give you a demonstration. And okay. I'm not seeing anyone's cute faces. Latonia, can you hear that? It's distracting me to worry about being able to hear me through the gardener mowing the lawn in the back. Is it okay?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Okay. All right. So I start out, so you saw the steps, right? So step 1 is I do a slideshow. And, okay, I'm going to screen share again. Where did Zoomy go? All right. I see your faces. Aha, I have a chat box now. Hooray! Okay, so you can sell in person with all kinds of software. If so, how many of you have or have heard of ProSelect? Just put it in the chat box. ProSelect is a beautiful program that allows you to show different sizes. There's a nice sorting, editing. It is pricey, and of all the things that, and you can tell I'm not sponsored by them because I'm going to say this, but it is fabulous. But of all the things initially to invest in when you're starting is the $500, $600 or whatever. I don't know if it's 300 in ProSelect. I would wait on that. And then when the money starts rolling in, if you want to invest in that, that's great. Now, my sales method is a little bit different. I don't do the room views. Not sure if any of you know about that technology. What room view is where you, whether it's the client's room that you get a photograph of or a sample living room or dining room or baby's room, and you show the photographs within that program as if, and ProSelect has this as well as others, but it, you can show it as if they're in their home. Because for me, showing it actually on the boards as if it is something they can take home with them, to me, there's a lot of power in that because they're actually seeing it in the real sizes. I'm not against it, but this system, it isn't necessary. I've used it occasionally if we're really getting into the design process after they've decided which ones they love. Then I've used it to like say, okay, well, we want to do that over a fireplace and we want to do 4. So let's play around with these image, this collection and see what looks nice in a grouping, things like that. Okay, so ProSelect is awesome. Fundy is also awesome. Have you all heard of Fundy? You can raise your hand. Or so Fundy, the one thing about Fundy that is, I haven't figured out a workaround for it, is it's hard to make categories. I think you can star and do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 star. But not as easy. In ProSelect, you can make sets and name them wall, small, and album, and slide, as you're going to see me do this, slide the portraits into the different categories. You can see over here, I already have set up wall, small, and album. I usually do that in front of them because it reinforces, and it always capitalize the word wall. So Fundy is also the most amazing, to me, album design, and also their branding program is amazing. When you want to put your logo on 1,000 images or 5 images, it works. It's so easy, you just can't even believe it. You can also use Lightroom or Bridge. Bridge comes with Photoshop. Lightroom comes with Photoshop if you are on a subscription and don't have a super old Lightroom. I'm much more a fan of Bridge because I do not understand the whole cataloging and in Lightroom and where things are. I've tried, but things get lost for me. So, but they have the same controls. Just Bridge has Adobe Camera Raw that is part of it, that you go to its platform, whereas Lightroom has the Lightbox here and the editing built in, but they all have the same controls. So Does someone have a question? No? Uh-oh. That was a fun. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay, I'm going to mute myself for a sec. Hello? Oh gosh, what do I do now? Stay right here. I'm going to log out and I will come right back. Oh, am I echoing now? No.
Seems to be working fine now.
Okay, so maybe I was too long with screen share. All right. Yeah, it was just, did you guys hear that? It was like I was in outer space. Yeah, Rachel, we know where that's coming from. It's my heavy dose of woo-woo, right? I have an active left brain and a right brain. So, all right. So I also actually learned how to do this sale in iPhoto. But every time they upgrade, they change the controls. And so right now, does anyone use iPhoto and know how to do a slideshow? Quickly show, because this is this is not the computer that I do slideshows in. So we're just, oh, ta-da! All right. So first I do a slideshow. And so I'm going to show that to you here. But we're not screen sharing, so you can't see what I'm doing. All right. Let's go back and hope we're not in that weird noise. Okay. So there's a little button here in Photos. So if you're on a Mac, you can do a beautiful sales process in Photos once you learn where the controls are. What I like in Photos is that you can make things disappear, but they don't. So if I move this to a wall, if I were to move this to another album, it's still here. Whereas in Pro Select, if you move it, it's gone. Okay, so let's see how this goes. You guys ready to be my clients? Yes? Okay. Oh, all right. And one thing to know is with this iPhoto, I believe, you have to highlight the ones you want. And the little dude with the short hair was quite a wiggle worm. Okay, well, it was close enough to the end. So then usually we go, yay, after that. So can you guys see how that added in that music and one at a time with the dissolve created an emotional tug, even though you don't know these kids? Let me look at the chat box. So Gladys, no, thank you very much. I do not fully edit. These are, well, this little, the short-haired twin was a bundle of resistance, we'll say. So I did some head swaps and body swaps in order to be able to make the sale. But otherwise these, and if there's someone that's a close-up and there's a lot of wrinkles or acne, something like that, then I might edit a couple of them. But no, I do a quick edit in Adobe Camera Raw, or if I was a Lightroom person, I'd do the quick edit in Lightroom. I do a few head swaps as needed and show it from there. And Latonia, yes, people do want to buy them all. That's the beauty of seeing them big put to music. And by the way, these are all, there's no flash, there's no added light. One of my passions is finding beautiful natural light, and it's something that I do teach within a coaching, one-on-one coaching. I have a lesson where I photograph my Barbie in good light and bad, which is fun. Okay, let's see, other questions. Okay, so I've done the slideshow. So who knows, you can unmute yourself if you want to answer this question. Who knows what we do next? What's step 2? I'm gonna wait till somebody tells me. You've got it in your notes.
You play the game. You do the yes, no, maybe.
Yes. Okay, so I'm gonna go to bridge for this. Oh, something I didn't mention is the way that I set up a sales room is in sort of a semicircle, or maybe not an L, because I don't want, so I sit on the side. I have them, I don't like couches. I have nice, beautiful office chairs that rock and have wheels. I don't know, Rachel, did you ever buy some office chairs for your beautiful new space? I'm unmuting. Rachel?
I did not yet.
Okay. All right.
Saving up my penny.
I got obsessed one night with looking at, she'd ask what kind of chairs should I have on a Facebook. And so I went to Wayfair and went crazy looking for black and white and gold chrome, beautiful looking office chairs, because I can be I like to shop and I like to create. Okay, so I set them up. So I have a round table that's in the center of my room, because it's a small room. It's only a 9x13 floor. So this round table, it's maybe 30 inches, maybe 36. I have 4 office chairs plus an extra as needed, and we sit and chat for the consultation. Then for the sale, I push the table out of the way and I put the chairs in the back of the room so that we can all sit together and look at the projector. And I'm still recording, right, Rachel? Yes. She's my monitor. She's my recording monitor. But I don't sit directly side to side with them looking at the screen or facing them or in an L shape. It's more like a J with the little tip of the J cut off. More like a hook. I've been trying to think of something in that shape so that I can look at them. I can turn my head to the left and look at them, and my head to the right and look on the screen. So I put myself in the position of a participant rather than a salesperson. You know, we're enjoying this together. Does that make sense? I just heard you all say, yes, it makes sense. All right. So we're going to do the yes, no, maybe game. And for what you all to know here in the class is the yes, no, maybe game is not about which is your favorite. Let me see. I think this would be a better example. So it's not like, okay, these are what I don't do. I wouldn't say, and I know there's a way to, let's see if the film strip works and you can see too. Yes. So these are two entirely different photographs. So in this round, okay, I'm sorry. I already did yes, no, maybe with this myself, but let's go back to here. All right. So you're going to pretend you're my clients. Tell me if you can see this. Can you see this?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So yes, no, maybe.
Yes.
Yes, no, maybe.
No.
And keep in mind at this point, people would not have seen the full gallery like you have a few times, but I agree. Yes, no, maybe. That'd probably be a maybe for people. Yes, no, maybe.
No. Maybe.
So
Maybe.
we now, and in a regular, because I edit these down just to make it simple, but there would be like 3 versions of this possibly. Now this one had some head swaps in it, which I did pretty good. Can't see it.
Yes.
And they loved that one.
Yes.
So
Yes.
this is their wall portrait, or their biggest one. By the way, they were not going to buy any wall art. They were on a strict budget, and they ended up with 3 and making payments. And if they had had more money, they would have spent 10K. This was a gift certificate, and they just happened to, you know, they loved it. They loved their kids, and they stretched their budget, and I was grateful. Okay, so you get it. You go through, and this is a very light touch going through the yes, no, maybe. It's not, if people hesitate, then I leave it in. Now, when I'm doing, so at this point, I would make them all at least 3 stars, which I'm pretty sure I've already got the 3-star showing. So with Bridge or Photo or Adobe Camera or Bridge or Lightroom, you can do stars. You can also do colors, but I just do 3 stars for all the maybes and yeses. If they go, oh my gosh, I love that, then I might put 5 stars just to make it simple. So number 3 is comparing similar ones. So that's, I had jumped ahead a little bit. So these 3 are not in the comparing similar because this one's very different. So I would just want to make sure I'm not confusing you guys. So when I'm doing this one, I'm comparing ones that are very, very similar. So like they're all looking at me and they're all looking at me. So I would, in round 2, which is the comparison game, I would say, okay, 1 or 2, 2 or 1. Sometimes there's a few more and they don't get down to just a single one, and that's fine. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks, Latonya, for being my spokesperson. You're being my mom. So again, for example, I don't have them compare this one and this one because both of these could go in a photo album. One of these could be a wall portrait and this could be their Christmas card. You know, they're both good usable photographs. One of my secrets is as you can see in this, even with the fact that this little guy was needed, he was adorable, which is even harder when they're cute and I'd rather just leave. But I just keep at it until I milk every moment out and all the combinations I can. All right. So any questions on the what am I calling number 3? The comparison game.
No.
Okay, I'm just looking to see if anybody wants to raise their hand.
I am. What was the secret? I missed that.
Which secret?
You just said you were going to give a secret tip about those 2 images.
Okay, I guess I don't know what that was, or if I use the word, I'm not sure. Can you tell me more?
Well, you were in the middle of something talking about those 2 images and you said you were going to give a secret maybe to purchasing both. I'm not quite sure.
What I was saying was that both of those are worthy to stay in when we're comparing.
Right.
Because, and maybe I misspoke, or because I'm not thinking up what the secret would be. But
no need to eliminate because they were that different.
Right. Right.
Right.
This is not, now these 2, we'd compare 1 or 2, 2
Correct.
or 1.
Yep.
At this level, number 3. So, but, if you're following along in the notes, because I'm doing this all by my brain, not my notes, either during round 2 or definitely by this time, I might get up out of my chair and hold a board up in front of something I think would be a beautiful wall portrait. I know I did it with this one. I held up a 36 by 24, just an inch away from the screen. And they, of course, went, oh. And they came in for this kind of portrait. But I made it hard for them not to also get a wall portrait of that. Does that make sense? I'm just going to imagine y'all say yes. Okay. So somewhere in round 2 or round 3, I've gotten up at least twice. I've grabbed a 30 by 40 or a 30 by 30, or with something like this, at least 36 tall, and held it up. Also, a lot of people, because a lot of you didn't grow up with square format, medium format cameras, but there are a lot of images that might be beautiful and stronger in a square, like this, for example. So if I was going to show them this as a piece of art, I'd get up and I'd grab my 30 by 30 board. And it's because they are, like, this information on the left and the right is not important. Compositionally, they're in a beautiful circle or square, so the square crop gives it a lot more impact. And when I can just boom right there, hold up that board so they can see it, we all have an artist's eye, even if we don't think so. So hope that makes sense. Okay, so the next round, which I have over here, we've done yes, no, maybe, and the secret sauce in the whiteboards. We've done the comparison. So now we make the wall, small, and album categories. In photos, you can make albums up here, new album, and you can name one This family's called Buck. So you can go Buck Wall, Buck Small, and Buck Album. I've already done this here. Buck Wall, Small, and Album. So I would go through one at a time, showing it big again. I always like them to see it as large as possible. So I'd say wall, smaller, album, because we've already determined they like all of these now. So I, as the trusted advisor, am not going to let them eliminate ones too soon. And I want the ones that have the strongest in design, emotional reaction, that are the most beautiful, to have a chance to live as art on the walls. So wall, smaller, album. We'll say small, so I'm going to put a number 3. Wall, smaller, album. Might be small. I'll go 4. Wall, smaller, album. Maybe wall, 5. 5. 5. 3, or album. 4 as a single, and so forth. You guys with me on that? All right. So in Bridge, now you can sort by stars. So if I put 5 stars on all the ones that have potential for the wall, let me make sure I have a number of them here. You know, this might be one. Sorry. Okay, so they loved these singles. They loved this one. Get down to the one that was their best wall portrait. Thank you for your patience. Do you guys, there it is. Okay. All right. So with this, I'm going to do 5 stars. So now I'm seeing all the ones that have potential to be art. So I'm going to save them all. I'm going to go copy to, and we're copying to wall. So, oh, there's another little trick. Clear filter. So over on this side, and you can do all of this in ProSelect. I make a full copy of everything they liked. And then in the second copy, I just slide it into the sets. So here you can open just like the 4 stars. So here's just our 4 stars. So I'd send those to small, clicking off, and then the 3 stars are album. And I would then highlight these and send them over to album. Questions at this point? I know we're covering lots of stuff. And Bridget, my answer to your question, if I don't fully edit, what do I tell the client? So I may pick a few if there's going to be a dramatic difference in the editing, and do some not fully like ready to print, but open in Photoshop and, you know, I don't know, fill in some sky, take out telephone poles, highlight the skin, and so forth. Okay, no questions? Okay. So now we do that next step. I'm going to look over here, which is the secret sauce number 2, which is the wall, the show. And again, I say we've been doing a lot of thinking, and I want us to get back to the emotional reaction that we've had to these. So I'm going to do a slideshow. I'm going to run through it twice, and I want you to notice what tugs at your heart or makes you smile, because that's what you're going to feel every day for the rest of your life and your family's life, if they, you know, depending on who inherits this. So I just planted a little seed that these are going to be inherited, which adds value. So just sit back, relax, try not to think, and just enjoy this new show. So then I do a new show. And by the way, in bridge, if you're doing shows in bridge, I do not like their, let's see, view. I don't like their slideshow option because they only give you either 2 seconds or 5 seconds, which is too long or too short. So I do it manually. And I might jump down to iTunes and start some music if I was using Bridge. And then about 3.5 seconds is a good long time. And I'm just doing this manually. So imagine there's music. This is kind of like the sorbet, like Rachel Sorbet here in our group. This is the palette cleanser because they've been thinking so much. I want them to get back to the beauty of what we're looking at. I want her to feel what she felt the first time she saw this one. And so we have our little slideshow. And honestly, had they had not a small house and a budget, there would have been 2 wall portraits of the family, one of the mom with the daughter and the dad with the son, the 3 kids, and then singles of each of the kids. As it is, we had, actually it was 5. So there were each child by themselves, I think is 11 by 14. The 3 kids together, they liked this huggy one. And then as a 16 by 20, and then we did a 40-inch on this one. All right, so Sophie's asking for some clarification. Yes, I have gone through and I've narrowed down, and that's a good, gets me to a good point that I didn't share. So I've narrowed down to 100, 120, something like that. I do a slideshow of about 60, and I didn't tell you why I leave in duplicates that are clearly like, well, one of these is great and one of these is okay. Like in this case, well, and this one actually was edited. You can see back here, the sky's filled in, different things. Oops, I'm sorry. We'll go back here. Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is probably the winner, although I might, yeah, we'll just pretend she's not half blinking. But I don't want them to say no to beautiful images. And if there were not 2 in here, then they would either decide it's in or out. So the method to my madness in that is like, if I gave you 3 pencils in a red, a blue, and green, I would say, which one do you want? And you'd say, in my case, I'd say the red one, because I love red. If I said, do you want this red pencil? There's more chance that you would not pick a pencil at all. So by having some similar in that editing down, then it increases that opportunity for more to end up in the, in the album group, in the small group, in the wall group. And because I've got this system, the editing is not as overwhelming as it might seem. Hope that makes some sense. Okay, Rachel asked, is the reveal more effective when done at the client's home or studio? Well, I have a preference in my studio because of the time involved. There is a big advantage to going to their home because they can't say, I don't have wall space, because you can take your little tape measure and you can take your boards and you can pop it right in a space. The downside is you can't control the environment or the comfort of their couches or however you set that up, or whether there are children there and the children are distracting them. So if I have a beautiful space like you do, I would, I can get more work done by staying in my space. And again, it's that leadership. When they're in my environment, I have more kind of control of the of what they experience. Whereas when they're in their home, I'm having to make sure I'm still the boss in a really nice, comfortable way. Okay, so we've had the slideshow, but let's see, yes, so we have the slideshow. So now we've run through this twice, this wall group. And so then I put all similars together. So I would put the kids, 3 kids together, each, like there's 2, this little dude. So I'd put the kids together, all the families together. Let's see if I got that. Okay, here's the mom and the daughter. So I do a quick sort, and you can do this in any of the programs that I've recommended. Okay, so now we look at the family group. And I ask, which ones were the strongest for them. And let's see, where's the best one? Did I get that in here? Yep. So then having run through it twice, and Sophie, I'll get back to your question in a sec. Having run through the slideshow twice, I'm also noticing which ones feel the strongest to me. I'm participating. I'm getting out of my head and into my heart at the same time. So by this time, I feel like some of these are stronger than others as well. So then I can be their trusted advisor. The other thing I'm doing is I am listening. Whenever they reacting, oh, I love that, and those things, I'm filing that away in my mind so that when it comes to this point, I can remind them, you know what, every time this has come up, you have said, I love that. So again, I'm being the trusted advisor. So back to Sophie had a question of if I'm editing about 120. So I try to shoot for 90 to 100 that we're going to do yes, no, maybe with, leaving in some good ones next to some great ones so that the great ones stay in there. The slideshow, I've just kind of grabbed what I think is a collection of the best, one in each, would not have shown the duplicate. As you remember, there were 2 that were similar to this one down here on the left. This was actually, look at the composite, 133, 136, 141. So it took 3 different images to get all of these right. And I knew I needed to do that in advance to make the sale. So yeah, some people get it down to 30. And to me, I don't know how I would sell a book with 35 images and some bonusing of smalls, because I rarely sell smalls individually. I almost always create a bundle for them to close a wall portrait sale. Okay, so are you with me here? We've got 6 family portraits. So at some point, some of these are not as strong as others. So we might say these 2 go down to small. And these were their 2 favorites, but we'll just say these go down to small. And then this one goes down. They might say, no, put that in album. So we put that down to album. So we've got 2 good ones of the kids. They might say, you know what, this one could go to small. So the ones that have the strongest impact are staying in this gallery. So we've got one of mom and dad, one they love of, or dad with the boys, mom with the girls. Some fun ones, some different ones. Okay, so now all of these could be wall portraits, right? So now I use my boards again. And I get up. So I make this full screen. I get out of my chair and I hold the biggest board up so they can see how it actually looks as finished art. Then I go back to the computer, and I think walking back and forth, it keeps my brain, keeps me active. And then I hold the board up and they look at this as if it's finished art. And then I hold a square up and they look at this as finished art. And at this point, they're imagining how these would be in those spaces that we've already talked about. And I go through each one and let them experience it as if it's already ready to get in a frame and go home with them. So I don't play nice, I play dirty because it's heart-wrenching. I love his eyes and I love that negative space. By the way, my go-to lens is a 24 by 105 f4. And my reason is I want scenery for those wall portraits, but I want to be able to do some quick focal length, zoom in, some portrait. And then over my other shoulder, I have a 70 to 200. And it's the f4 also because I cannot carry the weight of the 2.8. And I've sold thousands and thousands of large portraits with those two lenses. Okay, so now that they've seen them all one at a time as wall art, then we just figure out which are their super favorites. And that's when I begin creating the art with them and making the decisions and doing sizing and so forth. So let's say we've determined this is for the fireplace. We're going to do these for okay, this is fireplace. This is their bedroom, mom and dad. These 4 are going to be a group. And then these 2, 1, 2, might be something, I wouldn't rule these out just yet as we're planning. So then I use the boards to determine sizes. So I'll show them this in a 30 by 40, and then, or possibly bigger if we determine that they have a space where a 40 by 60 would be nice. I let them see that, and then I'll go down one size, and then I'll go and hold up the next size down, and I'll ask them, what do you think about this size? How does that feel? And so then they determine, well, the perfect one for this, for their space, is a 24 by 36. Great. Do you want that canvas? I believe in keeping things pretty simple. So I offer canvas, and I offer traditional photographic paper. So they tell me that. I say, okay, that's $20 million. Will that work for you? Yes. And then we do it with each one of these that they've determined. So this is the point where they're actually ordering. And everything that doesn't get ordered goes down into smalls or books. I shoot. So Latonia, I shoot with a Canon. I do have a Sony mirrorless, smaller sensor. And this process does not differ when I'm selling the albums, because I still want them to, we've still sorted them into what could be good as wall art, what could be good for an album. Most people that are going to buy an album, I'm still wanting them to get some big pictures. Did that answer your question, Gladys? Okay, so this is a point. Now there's different different size ways. I have not figured out how to make packages work because I don't know, everything I do has such variety to it that I never get the same combinations in this potential wall group. Couple of things, what I do, and it does take a little finesse and skill. But so after we've decided we're going to order all 8 of these in wall portraits, so I give them the total price. So I might say, so that's probably if they wanted all canvas, that may be, let's say, 8,000. So I say, and I've given them the price on each one as we go along. I'm looking at the time. Okay. So I would tell them, so these total up to 8. And then I wait and listen to their reaction. If they say, oh, okay, then I say, all right, let's talk about, do you want to put an album together? We've got to usually be like 40 in here. Do you like tabletop sizes? Let's think about what else you want. If they pick an album, then, I tell them the price of, there's 40 in here. We probably could get it down to 30. So that book might be 3,000. Does that work for you? At a point where they push back, like if they had pushed back at 8 and then like a lot of times they'll go, oh, but we also wanted an album. So that's when I would say, well, let's look at the album. What album do you want? So if the album they wanted was, let's say, 3,000, I might say, so if I could put a bundle together for you, that's the book that you want, that's normally 3,000, and this art just the way we designed it. And I know there are some in the smalls that you really like that you thought would be nice to have. So if I could also include, let's say, 7 or 8 smalls, and we did that all for 10. So notice I didn't say $10,000 and 00 cents. 10, would that work for you? So I create a bundle that's actually a package, but it's custom. And I know my margins, so I can do that. Another option is you can have a bonusing program where whatever they invest in wall portraits, they get some bonus money at certain investment levels. So let's say for $1,000, they could get an extra 15% to spend on other things. If it's 2,500, it might be 20%. So that makes it easier to get the albums and the smalls. And that offer is only good that night at the sales session. And it's only, you don't want to get it where they would say, okay, well, this is 8,000. So if I cut out this one, then that's 7,000. And I have 25% to spend, which is another whatever, which actually then buys the wall portrait. That can be confusing. All right. So I think that is, let me check my little form. So this, actually making the sale, handling all of the objections, all of that, experience, guidance, all the things that you learn everywhere, things you might learn if we're doing group coaching or one-on-one coaching come into play about actually closing your sale here. But this is the system that I use. This is how I structure it. So any quick questions right now? Okay, I'm going to stop screen sharing so I can actually see you guys. All right. Okay, so I know that you know that this is an introduction to my group coaching. So I wanted to tell you about that. Some people that are on this call are already signed up. And so this is the class number 1 to give you this solid teaching. The group coaching is a program that is designed specifically to teach you to become the trusted advisor so that by the time you get to this point in the sales room, they're eating out of your hand. And the group coaching is a 6-month program. And each month we have a different topic. I'm going to, let's see, I'll just tell you. So the first month we will talk about pricing for profit and go more in depth about the theory of becoming a master salesperson. And the first class in each month has teaching for half an hour or so, and then some time for question answer and role play as needed. The second class in the month is like a 10-minute review of what the teaching was, and then more time for practice and one-on-one coaching. So you do have the opportunity, lots of opportunity to get some individual coaching with this. So month number 2 is about the telephone. And I know a lot of people, the telephone, I've heard so many people say I'm, what's the word? Not phobic, but they have high anxiety using the phone. And I think some of the reason for that is because you don't know what to say. You don't know what your plan is. So I've realized as I've coached over the last 6 years that there is a system I've used. And as I've coached more and more, I've refined that system. So I teach it in steps. And that's easy to be like, okay, I just did the step 2, which is to get them to like me and fall in love with their life more. Now I'm going on to step 3. So you have a system in place. Class number 3, we go over the consultation, all the details, what to do in that. Number 4 is the session itself. So I cover how to photograph so that you've got all of that work to show that you just saw in my preview. And also we're planting seeds from the first phone call, and we're watering, fertilizing, taking the weeds out. I never thought of that, but that's handling objections, pulling out the weeds. So step at a time, we're building so that in the sales room, they're much more apt to say yes to wall art. We're also pre-qualifying people in the phone call and the consultation. Okay, so at the sales session, the photography session, that is month number 4. So we go over a lot of that. Number 5 is what we've just done here, and we go more in depth and we do some practice. I have somebody volunteers to be the salesperson, and somebody volunteers to be the client. And so we get a lot of practice. And then number 6 is handling objections. So it's very comprehensive about how to be a master salesperson and get yourself into the position of being a trusted advisor. So you might have some